Good morning, everybody. It's really an honor for me to be here today. David, a lot of what you said really requires a response, but I hope we'll get to it in the discussion section. I was told I had 7 minutes to talk to you about how we're using the law to protect the rights of Israel and the Jewish people. And I'm going to focus this morning on the work that I'm proud to do at the ZOA, which is how we are using the law to protect Jewish college students on our campuses.
However, Susan,
Yes.
because we've had 2 members of Congress and because we have other panels scheduled, we all have to be flexible. It's not my goal to offend anybody. Certainly, to say no to Brooke is a hard thing for me to do.
Sure.
To say to David, you only have a short time, I need to say the same to you.
Absolutely.
Because yesterday, we all know there were lots of speeches. People have questions. We must end this panel at 10:30, which puts us behind where we were supposed to be. So let's
I'm
get
going to keep it concise.
Thank you.
So everybody in this audience knows exactly what's going on our college campuses. I don't have to describe it to you in detail. We have Jewish students who are being harassed, who are being threatened. As Brooke pointed out, we even have Jewish students who are being physically assaulted on our college campuses. They're not only enduring speakers and programs that viciously attack Jews in Israel. We have hate groups on our college campuses like Students for Justice in Palestine, which is trying to shut down Jewish and pro-Israel voices by interrupting pro-Israel events and Hillel events on our campuses. Jewish students are also being marginalized and ostracized on campus. I want to give you one example among many. We worked with students at John Jay College in Manhattan. At John Jay, the Hillel and the Muslim Students Association were going to co-sponsor an event that had absolutely nothing to do with Israel or the Middle East conflict. Students for Justice in Palestine got wind of this event. We understand, threatened the Muslim Students Association, and not surprisingly, the MSA pulled out of the event and wrote a note to Hillel that said, and this is a quote, "We fear for your safety and ours." Not to go into too much detail, but it's already been pointed out here this morning, Jewish students are facing hostility in the classroom too from professors who are viciously attacking Israel with factual distortions and outright lies. For understandable reasons, Jewish students are afraid to speak up. They're afraid to antagonize their professors. They're afraid that speaking up in support of Israel and contradicting the professor might mean a bad grade. Unfortunately, and I've encountered this for many years in my work at the ZOA, there are many, many people, including members of the Jewish community, who are minimizing the serious problems that Jewish students are facing on our college campuses. But we know from the work that we do that the problems are serious, and there are also empirical studies out there, including by Brandeis University, which substantiate that campus anti-Semitism is a serious problem. Fortunately, Jewish students have legal recourse. There is a legal tool available to them under federal law. The law is called Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. And to be brief, Title VI says that if you are a school that receives federal funding, and all public colleges and universities do, and most privates do, then you're required to remedy discrimination based on race, color, or national origin, racial or ethnic discrimination. If you're found to have violated Title VI, the consequences are very, very serious. A school found in violation of Title VI risks losing its federal funding. We've tried to use Title VI, but I will tell you that it's been a battle for us, and this is the reason. The law requires that schools address discrimination based on race, color, or national origin. The law does not address religion, and the federal agency that enforces Title VI, it's the Office for Civil Rights in the Department of Education, that agency has not interpreted the law to protect Jews. They've seen us strictly as a religious group, even though, as we all know, we're not just a religious group, we're also an ethnic group, right? We share not just a religion, we share a language, a homeland, traditions and ancestry, all the qualities that make us not just a religious group, but also an ethnic group. So there's a policy on paper now, after years of the ZOA and other groups battling this struggle. There's a policy that the Office for Civil Rights issued back in 2010, reinterpreting Title VI to protect Jewish students, but it is still not being enforced. I see two positive developments that are coming up, and I believe Brooke mentioned one. One is the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act, which Congress is currently considering. And that law would help the Office for Civil Rights understand what anti-Semitism is today, that it's more than just calling someone a kike or a dirty Jew. There is some anti-Israelism and anti-Zionism that cross the line into anti-Semitism. The other positive development I want to point out to you is that just recently, Kenneth Marcus was nominated to serve as the new head of the Office for Civil Rights. He's been nominated to be the Assistant Secretary for Civil Rights at the Department of Education. In my view, Ken would be a welcome, wonderful addition. Ken is currently the head of an organization called the Louis D. Brandeis Center for Human Rights Under Law. Prior to starting that organization, Ken was the Assistant Secretary for Civil Rights in the Department of Education, and then he moved on to be the staff director at the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights. And when Ken was the staff director there, the commission held its first ever hearing on campus anti-Semitism, which I was very proud to be asked to testify before. Ken totally understands the kinds of problems that Jewish students are facing today. He totally understands that anti-Semitism today takes many, many forms, including anti-Israelism and anti-Zionism. And I believe with Ken at the helm of the Office for Civil Rights, we will see Title VI of the Civil Rights Act being thoroughly, vigorously, fairly enforced to protect Jewish students from anti-Semitism.
Susan, thank you very much.